All right, so my name is Win Cooke, and this is my 1991 Honda Civic that I run at HPDE events, as much as I can.
Check. Check.
Win, feel free to stay tight to the truck, bro.
10-4.
This was my first car that I ever bought. So I bought it when I was probably 17, 18. Had it probably just as long, right? Because I'm 35 now. I never really thought I'd be 35 with a Honda, but it's a hell of a Honda, and I'm pretty proud of it. It was bone stock, and it had it's funny, it had house carpet in it, and then the radio. I remember a couple days into it, I was shifting gears and the radio started smoking. I was like, oh crap, and I threw it out the window. At that time, I think Fast and the Furious was a big thing, right? So pretty much everybody wanted to import and go fast, and I grabbed the body kit and slapped it on there, and I eventually did do a B Series swap. I swapped it B Series, and then I eventually turboed that. It was a built B16 with a T3, T4, and I kept sinking sleeves, so I ended up going all motor and running autocross. Then that just kind of evolved, and now I'm here with what I got now, where I run on road courses. Engine is a B20 v-tec, so it's a CRV block with a Type R head. The headwork was all done by RLZ, so it's like a stage 5 CNC or whatever. And then SuperTech valves, flat valves. Then the block was built by Ramey Built, so it's all piston valves been clayed. It's got Skunk 2 stage 3 Pro 3s, and then the ITBs, which are individual throttle bodies with this custom carbon plenum and filter box. I got a lot of carbon accents on it. And then all the hoses, every bit of hose on the car has been converted to AN lines. It's all color coded. It's a silver, it's like your PCV hose. Black, solid black is going to be radiator. Fuel is red. And then oil is blue, which is over there. I've been building the car. I built the car as it sits in its current state. It probably took about 5 years to build. Between the engine build and transmission build, and I wired the car completely from scratch. Engine management system. It's got individual throttle bodies. I made the header, custom made header. Built it from scratch. Was again not really satisfied with anything that was on the market for. It's a huge engine. It produces a lot of displacement, right? A big tube header I felt like was limiting me, so I did bigger runners. So if you notice, the runners on it are huge. Then I had problems fitting a radiator in there, so then I had to do a custom radiator mounts. I've got a bash bar, and then again all the AN lines, the custom fan shroud. We just did a new exhaust, and it was really loud, really loud. And now it's to the point where it's bearable, and it's exciting because you do hear more of the engine up front than just the loudness of the car. So when I built it, it's just kind of started out too loud and too violent. And then the tracks are getting to where they have decibel restrictions. So I wanted to kind of make sure I could go anywhere. One of my goals really with the car and my truck and trailer setup is to be able to drive across the country and go to Laguna Seca. Pretty cool too. If you see the white on there, that's from the race gas. It burns race gas. I like carbon fiber, right? So I like carbon fiber. So I put a lot of carbon fiber in here. If you notice, the carbon inside on the switch panel is actually camouflage. It's like a camo weave versus a regular standard weave. And carbon fiber, I'm sure everybody knows, is expensive. There's a buildup there, right? Of I've got this piece, I need to put it together, or cut a hole in it, and you've got to be super careful when you're cutting it because you don't want to screw it up. I built the splitter. It's wood, but I have a carbon one that again, it's like in process, right? So I have to like figure out how to bolt it up and without crushing it. So I've got these like special fasteners that I've got for it. And I'm just trying to make sure it's going to work correctly before I put it on there and then something hits it and shatters it, right? The carbon fiber, I think, is laid out really nice on the dash. I get a lot of compliments on that as far as it's a good mix of stock interior, which is funny because it's a CRX dash, so there's nothing stock about it at all. But people give me a compliment a lot of times I hear. So it's a good mix of stock versus carbon fiber. And I'm not saying any names, but I've noticed that some professional drivers have actually kind of copied those ideas, after when I first debuted the car. And, not saying that they solely got that from me, but, to have that kind of same mindset makes you feel good about it. And that's something that I am, proud of. Got the USB ports for my race pack and the Honda, and then a plug-in for my wideband so I can read my wideband externally. And then we've modified the shift shaft itself with a sealed joint instead of the universal that they have from the factory. I built a carbon fiber battery box, right, from scratch. It was a sheet of carbon fiber. It comes in a cloth, and you have to impregnate the resin in there. I made a fiberglass mold. It was a whole, a whole experience of building my own part and making it custom for my battery tray and everything. The carbon fiber is conductive, and I didn't really ever realize that. And throughout the vibrations in the race car, it had vibrated through to the power wire. And so with the carbon fiber cover being bolted down, and the rubbing through to the wire, it resulted in an arc, and that battery cover caught on fire. And so I was at the shop, and we were actually about to leave on a trailer. It was like one of the things again where I checked it over, made sure everything was tight, nothing bolt check, threw the cover on, went and did some stuff, came back by, and there's flames in the car. I freaked out. Because it's a lot of stuff to go up. But luckily, kept calm, poured some water on it, got the cover off. And there is a little stain in the back from the paint, where it got hot. But, that is what it is. It's kind of like a, what do you call it, character?
Let them get some nice rollers just like that.
Right now, the car has 10.3-inch rotors on the back and 13.5 or 13.8 rotors on the front with S2000 calipers. And then in the back, it's real fun to bleed because they're RSX calipers, but they're flipped so that the e-brake cable works. So you have to take them off to bleed them. But you want more brakes, you got to do some stuff, right? With EP3 rotors in the back. So they are pretty big too, and they're all cross-drilled and slotted, and brake pads. So I relocated my gas pedal over so I can basically 2-foot there, and that's all custom mods. And then here with the ITBs, I was having a problem where that is full throttle, and on your TPS you're only picking up 60%. So I had to modify the pedal to be able to go another 40% there. We got a big laser, cutting metal, designing metal, using 3D CAD, designing parts. I designed the wing. The wing is something I designed and made from scratch. So it's pretty cool to be able to design it in 3D and move it. I built this wing because I was at Rogue Atlanta and I was just not very confident in the car. I felt like the ass end kept coming around. And it's something I talked about with a couple guys online, and they actually don't run wings anymore. But it was something that they suggested, maybe, hey, why don't you put a wing on the car so you feel a little bit more confident in the car, you can get more speed. So I started looking at it, and a lot of the wings that are made for this chassis that you can just buy bolt right to the actual hatch itself, right? So any kind of downforce that you're getting, I just didn't feel like was going to be really distributed through the chassis well, especially with these mounts that I have and how I have my hatch mounted. I just didn't really like basically anything I could find off the shelf. So I started really kind of researching, again, 3D CAD, how a wing would work and what I needed. I bought this carbon fiber piece, I think off Facebook Marketplace, and then started just kind of filling in the gaps between the chassis and the car, the wing and the car. The results on track are unbelievable. Like, I mean, really same thing. I went through the same curve in Road Atlanta. It's like 30 mile an hour faster. Felt great, right? So it's really hanging up here in the air. You know, it's kind of big, but it's one of the things that I think is cool about the car. Again, I did it. I can take it off if I don't like it again. I've removed the hatch struts. It's got Lexan in it with some supports I built, and then these little push release. If the wing was off, it'd be pretty easy to open. When you're on the track, you know, you have to have normally windows down, but you don't normally get a lot of airflow. It gets hot in here, right? Exhaust. And your head is obviously where your heat goes out, so it gets really hot. So they've come up with a helmet blower system so that air is basically sucked in through that back window behind me as I'm driving. It goes down to a fan down here that's actually got like a HEPA filter on there for allergens, bugs, you know, whatever. So it gets all that crap out of the air, and then it supercharges it right into your helmet to keep your cool. And the helmet itself has like internal ducting to kind of go over the top of your head. It's a pretty cool feeling, especially like if you don't turn it on until you get hot, and then you start to feel that. It's kind of a cool feeling. It's got a new mag lock system, which is pretty cool. It just I'll go to the roof. It's pretty cool. And I also have a so the defrost blows here across there, and that's out of like a Buick or something. I can't remember, but it was some car that had been flooded, and I had to work on it. You know, I was at the dealership and I worked on it and I pulled it out, and it was just this tiny blower motor. I was like, dang, I could probably use that on the race car. I'm gonna figure out how to use that. So yeah, I got it in there and then just kind of sourced some ducting together. Same thing here. Like, this was like one of my early fab jobs, was making these door handles. I have to trailer it, like I trailered it here, so you don't really get to drive it on the street.
I don't have turn signals.
True, no worries. We'll do a U-turn.
No, that's cool. Go ahead.
It has like a higher speed limit.
And it kind of sucks, but then it's like, you know how people say the more you wait, the better it is? That's kind of what it is. So when I do get to drive it on track, it is fun. Like the last event, I washed the car, and of course that bit me in the butt, and somehow my speedometer didn't work, and that's the only thing I came up with. So I ended up not having as much engine management. It basically reduced my red line down. But even that, running, you know, at 5,500 and just giving it, you know, the best I could, it was still a blast.
Just like that. Let's switch sides real quick. Get on my left side. Perfect, just like that.
It's piece by piece, and it kind of came together, and it is what it is now. And I just, you know, got a couple kinks I need to work out, and, you know, eventually the car should be pretty solid and solid enough to have some fun in and I think kick some butt.